Hi guys, how's it going? Thanks for checking in on my channel. My name's Josh. I'm the owner and founder of The Bio Dude. I'm actually here in Bel Air, Texas at Nature Discovery Center. Back in December, I proposed to them to work with them to help them get their alligator exhibit set up and good to go. It is now the middle of July here in Texas in Houston, and I'm here checking out their nice little center here, getting ready for an amazing build. And today, I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to put together a 125-gallon living aquarium that is going to be for baby alligators. Now, they just got their permit, so they're going to be raising neonatals up until about a year, which then they get re-released back into the wild. And BioDude is working very closely with them to replicate, their husbandry to make sure that they're being taken care of appropriately and essentially streamlining their care. Very much like I did at Armin Bayou Nature Center. And I just kind of wanted to show you guys just how amazing this place is. This is a little niche, saved plot of forest in the dead center of Houston. You would have no idea it's here if you didn't know what to look for. And it's really nice because there is flora, fauna everywhere. There's fish. They have nice small outdoor and indoor wildlife exhibits. And it's just really refreshing to see. And of course, I love working for nonprofits like this because I'm able to make a difference in our community as well as, reinforce those local personal relationships. And I'm really excited to share this experience with you. I think the pigeons are too. So without further ado, I think it's time we get to working on this alligator exhibit. All right, guys, so as far as the habitat, boom. This is a 125-gallon black rimmed glass aquarium with an oak base stand. It could also be pine, but I know it's really sturdy. They won't be keeping more than 3 neonatal alligators in here at one time. We do have it by the window, and I'm really excited to show you guys how we're going to be activating and utilizing the carbon bottle, as well as doing water changes and flushes and things like that. We do have a special topper for it, which I'll unveil to you guys once we're done. And then all of the components that drive the habitat are going to be hidden. So it's going to be a nice, clean, matching look all around. And I'm really excited to get this built. Now that we have the initial base of where I'm going to want the filter and everything, now it's going to start adding in the stone. So what we're going to do is we're just going to open up the bags. And we're just gonna lightly and carefully dump them in. Now, we see the pump is getting covered by the stones. We don't have to worry about that. Now, we don't want a huge, deep layer of stones. That is the absolute last thing that we're gonna want. We wanna make sure that we can easily come in here and uplift everything and to keep everything nice and clean. So now we have smaller stones that we're gonna be mixing in to create a little bit more of a complex base. Very nice. Now I want to mix these together, and I want to see what type of, if we want to use both bags or if we just want to use one. Honestly, I think that's perfect. We have this other bag, which we might add in after we get some of the rest of our decorum in. So we know that the hot spot is going to be on the opposite side of the filter. But we also need to provide them 2 different areas to get out of the water, but it also can't be something that can collapse. It has to be something that's a flat structure that they can easily get in and out of, because while baby gators can swim, they're not the strongest swimmers. So it's making sure that they don't get stuck on something, trapped under something, and that their basking spot is easily accessible is of paramount importance. And that's what we're gonna do. So let's go get some of the accents we have. Yeah, so we got a whole bunch of nice stuff here. So these bricks here, which is Texas rock, this is what we're going to be using to create the initial base first with the slate. So we're going to bring this in first. 3. Look at that math. Josh mathing. Okay, now we see this big open area down here. Don't worry, we're going to get this filled up. We're going to get it taken care of. But this is the foundation that we're doing for the gators to get in and out very easily. We got our initial base. So now what I'm gonna do is I got this awesome piece of slate right here. That, and if my math is right, it should perfectly be at the level in which I'm trying to do. Look at that. Yeah. Now what we're looking at here, this is a nice flat piece that they'll be able to get in and out of. And how I'm gonna help get that going is I got this really nice flat piece of driftwood right here. Now with this bag is we're gonna work on filling up some of these gaps in here, just so that way, obviously they can't get under here. We don't have any of those issues that we were talking about before. But I'm not 100% sold on that right there. Oh, that's way better. Okay. Yeah. So there's multiple different ways that they're going to be able to get in and out, as well as we're going to seal all this off so that way they can't get in here. And that's what we're actually going to do next. Is we're going to open up this final bag. And don't worry, we have a way to make sure all of this is sealed off, good to go. And what's really nice about rocks is they do a really good job at making sure that we are able to absorb some of that heat. Now, as far as this being here and seeing how it does once we get water in, that's going to be coarse, that's going to be a potential change. It could go as something as simple like this, which honestly, I think that's probably what we're gonna do, and actually anchor it down. But there is no way that any little babies are gonna be getting stuck in here. And that's exactly what we were going for. Excellent. Yeah, I think this rock would be really nice, right like this. And then we got this nice piece of driftwood coming in here like this. This beastly rock right here. That's gonna look real nice. So the whole point of this habitat is so that way everything in here is easily seen and it's easily seen, as well as it's maintained easy. So that was the most important thing. There's still a couple other odds and ends that I'm going to be adding in here, especially as we continue. But as of right now, for a very base rudimentary hardscape for, you know, little neonatal reptiles, I'd say we are right on track where we need to be. Next step is let's fill it up with water. Okay guys, so here's gonna be our filter loadout. So I'm doing a little bit more of a different approach like I did with Armand Bayou. So y'all know that baby gators, they don't like a lot of quick water movement. They don't like it to be really rough. So essentially the filter loadout I'm going with is the Oace Biothermal 650. Now this is an absolute beast of a filter. We're gonna roughly have about 60 to 70 gallons of water in here at any given time. So as to power this, instead of using the pump's intake that is attached to this canister filter, we are going to be using a really strong pump. This is the Aquatic 317. So this is 317 gallons per hour. So we are roughly doing about 3 times to 3.5 times more than the actual volume every hour, which is right around what we want while not overdoing the water flow. We are going to be using this pump to pump the water into the intake of the filter. And then gravity is going to push it through multiple stages of filtration back out into the habitat. The best part about the Biothermal 650 is this. So it does have the pre-filter, which is right here, which is really nice, and it is a fine microfibers types of thing here to catch all your smaller debris. The kicker is the heater. This has a heater built into it. So we're gonna be setting that heater to be right at 79 degrees. Now, as far as the very bottom, we have 2 compartments specifically for our surface medium to harbor beneficial bacteria. This is the bag, and this is just Seachem's fancy special bag that doesn't go bad. That works great for, like I mentioned, Purogen as well as your surface medium. And we are choosing to go with Seachem's Matrix. Now, I love the Matrix because it's extremely lightweight, but it's also extremely porous. So it has a lot of surface area onto it that will facilitate proper bacterial growth to reinforce the nitrogen cycle, which is what we're trying to accomplish in the filter bed in the first place. And of course, we're going to be jump starting the habitat with turbo start and some other things like that with some fish here when that time comes. Boom. Okay, and then we're going to do the exact same thing for the other compartment. Typically, my rule of thumb that I've always followed for turtles and gators is that a minimum of 30% of your bulk filter bed has the components necessary to harbor your beneficial bacteria. Look at that. So just like that. And what's going to happen is water is just going to pass through, and it's just going to hold all those goodies. We want to make sure this sits nice and flush, and it does. And these are going to go on the very bottom. So we're going to do one at a time. Number one, and we're going to make sure that nice click happens. And now we have our different layers of filtration. So there are different types of foam that we're going to be using. We're going to go slightly less dense foam, which is this stuff right here. It's not near as fine. This is going to track our larger particulate matter that the gators are going to create excess of, pieces of fish, things like that. And then at the very top, this catches all the fine stuff. And then boom, that's going to go right on there. Now, if I wanted to add in some Purigen, I would then put the Purigen right here, but I'm going to let this run for a little bit because I want to see how it goes. And the next step is we make sure that our O-ring is in and attached, and it is. And then we're just going to put this on. For the sides, the handle's got to be up before you can lock it. 2. So all 4 sides are locked. And then with the OACE, there's these knobs here. There's the lock and unlock. You always want to make sure these are on lock because this is what protects your intake and outtake as well as your pump. But again, we're not going to be utilizing this plug that turns the filter on. We're only going to be plugging in the heater. So I'm going to be putting this filter, and it's going to be sitting right like this. And I'm going to be turning my in and outtake to be facing back. So you can see the intake comes right here, and then the outtake goes right here. So water is going to be coming in here and coming out here. Okay, the next step is to go ahead and get the pump where we're going to want it to be. And actually, I think that's perfect right there. So we're going to want to leave about 12 inches extra of give, just to ensure that we're going to have enough space to connect everything. And then, of course, then our outtake, which is going to be the other end of some of our tubing, is going to be coming back out here onto the other side, so that way it cycles around. Okay, guys, so you guys know I'm all about carbon bottles. Essentially how it works is we hook this right up to our groundwater line, i.e. our hose. The hose is turned on to about a 30%, not all the way. And that's going through here. We bolus it out for about 20 minutes. And then we can use that to fill up our aquarium. Now you guys know that the carbon bottle, what it does is it neutralizes ammonia and nitrates. So while if you test your water, you're still going to test positive for those things, it makes the water much cleaner and much safer to use for your turtles and your alligators and things like that. So then we're going to take the hose and we're going to put it right on in here. Okay, so you guys can see the flow here. Like you guys saw in the musk turtle video, it is not an insanely strong flow. This is roundabout the type of flow that you're going to want because you don't want the pressure to be too high. So that way we are able to facilitate, you know, that clean water that we were talking about. I can tell you my next visit here, I'm going to bring some Oklahoma Creek rock, and I'm going to be scavenging around here onto the sides to cover up some of these smaller rocks. I have some aquatic plants that we're going to be putting in here, nothing too crazy, and just some things to disperse around the side. But one thing, again, I can't stress this enough, is how important it is that this is an open habitat. that the gators can still feel comfortable. They can still come out and bask and do their thing, but they are still able to be seen and enjoyed and used as an education tool for all the young campers that come here at Nature Discovery Center. Really is great. So now we got to let this fill up. Then we'll work on getting the top on with the filter and everything good to go. And then by that point, we should be good to let this cycle for about 2 days until we come back and do finishing touches. Let's get to it. All right, guys, so now that we have the initial amount of water that we want in here, next is putting on this custom lid. So this lid is going to fit around perfectly the perimeter. We have custom holes drilled into the back to hide all the cords, as well as so that way the tubing can come in and out, as well as latches that open and close for easy access. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to put this so that way it's right like this onto the front without letting it fall. And then with the hole in the back here, we're going to take this tubing and then we're gonna put it out through this hole in the back right like this. So I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna bend it, and now we're just gonna feed it through like this. Okay, now that we see that this is about as even as we can get it, we're gonna now get this to be nice and flush on the top, right like so. And obviously, again, we're gonna get the tubing covered up, X, Y, and Z. Now that we have the tubing fed and you can see the woods floating, again, we're gonna mess with this. What I care about right now is making sure that the filter is gonna be operational. So we know that this tubing right here goes to the intake, okay? And we know that the filter intake is right here, and then we also have the outtake. So just for space and time, okay? We are now gonna cut the tubing so that way we have a decent amount of wiggle, but not too much because we want the intake and the outtake to be about the same length. That's really important. Okay, now the intake is attached to the filter. Now, when I plug in the pump, it's gonna fill up the filter, go through all stages of filtration, and gravity's gonna push it back out. Now we're gonna take our other tubing right here, take this around, and we're gonna attach it. Same exact way, okay? And then we're gonna take this, and then we're gonna put this through here, the back, okay? And then we're gonna take it through this hole over here and put it right on down to wherever we want the outtake to be. And I have a special adapter and plug to attach it to the side. I have this fancy little thing here that's gonna allow me to, adjust and manipulate. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the lid again, and I'm just gonna work on getting up underneath here so that way I can attach this and then attach this to the back of the glass where it's going to be essentially ejecting everything. So put this here. I want my outtake to not be super far away, but we want it to make sure that the filter is pulling this way and the water flow is going this way. So we're gonna be going right like this. Okay, so the intake is put in. I'm gonna mess with this outflow, I think, a little bit, but we're gonna see. Now we're not plugging in the OAs, but what we are plugging in is the pump, because the pump is what is going to be working all of this. And now is the moment of truth. You hear that? So you can literally hear the filter filling up right now. You can see the back end pressure from the outtake because of the suction. So now what we need to do is wait for the filter to completely fill up. You can see the water levels already gradually declining. So I expect it to drop a whole inch to fill up this filter. There it goes. Look at that, look at that. So ideally, at the end of the day, my goal is to make sure that it's not pushing out directly into the intake. So this is just the initial startup. I'm coming back in 2 days to get everything fully cycled. That's when I'll come back and I'll get things a little bit better positioned. But I am happy I am happy with that, with where it is right now, but I do want to play with it really quick. Oh, that's great. Okay. Now we have our filter going. And of course, again, we're going to be looking at this. We're going to be seeing how well it actually does the job. Is the filter being able to pull with movement of the gators from over here to make sure of this debris? Next is let's get lighting on board, so that way we can make sure that our lighting is going to be appropriate. So we do have some things that we are also going to be adding. We are going to be adding in some leaf litter to the base, so that way it provides that nice rich tannin that the gators absolutely love. But what's important is that it is cycling once we get the fish and the bacteria in here. So as far as lighting is concerned, this is what we're doing. We are using 2 solar grows. That's gonna be for some of the plants that we're putting in here. They're gonna be connected with this daisy chain. And then we're gonna connect the 3rd solar grow to the last daisy chain right here. And that's gonna hold a 12% UVB. Because of the amount of mesh we're using, I'd say more than 50% of it's gonna get filtered out. And then the heat bulb is hooked up to a thermostat. That's gonna be on a timer, like the rest of the items here. And it's gonna be hooked up with the ceramic reflector Arcadia bulb with an E27 100 watt. And that's what we're gonna start with a nice hot spot of around 95 degrees with that nice humidity zone. And then the other end will be the plug. And then this is gonna go through that back hole. Now all the plugs, the light plugs, all go to the power strip. Hey guys, it's been about 3 days, so we're back. As you can see, we had about a 5 to 8 gallon evaporation rate in that amount of time. The water is clearing up pretty well. It does have a little bit of that tannin texture from the magnolia. You can see the magnolia is getting nice and water clogged. Now I got some stuff here. This is what I'm doing for the second part of this visit. We got some aquatic plants that we're gonna be getting established in here and some more rocks. So I got some slate rock and I got some Oklahoma Creek rock that we're gonna be dispersing in here. We're gonna be taking the lid off and then we're gonna be training the staff on how to do the water flush, on how to do the water change. Then we're gonna be getting the fish in here with the turbo start and we're gonna start letting the tank cycle. I'm really excited to share this with you guys. Let's get started. Okay guys, so essentially what I ended up doing here was I just put a couple more anchor points here where I felt that they honestly should have been. Closed up some of the gaps back here like I talked about. So I got this ledge right here anchored down in, as well as there's a little shallow spot under here that they can get under, and added some more Oklahoma Creek stone. Moving the magnolia around, you can see I got this anchored down with it sticking out of the water. So as far as plants are concerned, let me show you guys what I'm rocking and rolling with here. I have a really nice philodendron monstera here. This is gonna be centigrated here towards the middle, right like this. And it's actually gonna be reinforced down with this rock that's right here. So I might put I'm gonna grab another small piece so that way I can anchor it towards the front. Okay, there it is. Okay, I got a really nice arrowhead vine right here. And this is what I really mainly want to use to make sure that, just to give a little bit of definition here around, as well as some pothos. Got some neon pothos right here, and the neon pothos I'm actually gonna spread out a little bit right around here like this. Okay. The roots being completely exposed, that's perfectly fine. Okay, and I'm gonna be really working these up to help cover up some of the tubing. But again, the tubing also has to be accessible. The pump is actually gonna be right here, right above. So I honestly might move this. I'm gonna put this right here actually. There we go. Okay. And then I got this nice arrowhead vine right here that I'm honestly just gonna kind of put, since these guys can also grow directly right out of the water, right like this. So again, this doesn't look like super much right now, But as this continues to grow, as this continues to mature, these are gonna start growing up and they'll be able to prune them as needed. This nice monstera right here in the middle is gonna provide just a little bit of extra around. And now last but not least, I do have a little bit of live moss. Now the live moss, I'm actually trying up towards the hotter end of it, towards the hot spot, because I'm just kind of interested to see how it's gonna do. There's a big potential this stuff might discolor and die, and they are aware of that. And since the water level is always gonna be lapping up here, the expectation is it gets all the water source that it needs from the rocks and from the mineral content of the rock. And I think, pending how this moss does, which I'll be following up with them and providing them the care, I think it'll do pretty well. I just got them set up on how to do a complete flush, filter media change. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the fish in here and we're gonna work on getting the nitrifying bacteria here. So this is turbo start. Essentially what this is gonna do is it's gonna put in a whole bunch of nitrifying bacteria that are gonna establish in the filter bed with the fish. And how we do this is we simply pop the top, break the lid, and boy does it smell. And then right by your filter intake, or where your filter intake is, we just put it underwater and dump. And you just, let the filter suck in all that beautiful goo. And these bacteria are then gonna colonize onto the filter bed. And you can see here we have some Texas native fish. So we're gonna check back in about 3 to 4 weeks. I wanna let this tank cycle, let the nitrogen cycle get established in the filter bed and see how our water quality and how tannin rich the water becomes, and of course, how well we're gonna be ready for our gator introduction towards the end of September. All right guys, so it's about 4 weeks after the fact from when we initially set up this habitat. I'm back here to come take a look at it, look at how well the fish are doing and the plants. And I gotta tell you, I'm absolutely thrilled with how well everything is doing. The pothos has a whole bunch of new growth on both plants. The arrowhead vine has an extremely amount of positive growth, and so does the monstera. The water temperature and the ambient temperature of the basking spot is right on point, and most of all, the fish are thriving. They put on weight. They are healthy, they don't have any signs of any bacterial or fungal issues, and they seem to be doing just fine. And it just feels really good to have a role with that here. Months of work, planning, and execution really do pay dividends. So I'm really happy I can share this with y'all. It has been another awesome check mark on my career. It's been so much fun. I really can't thank Nature Discovery Center here enough. If you guys are in Houston, make sure you come check them out. Make sure you come and support them. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed this process with me and just seeing what we've been able to accomplish. And we'll be sure to do an update video when the babies come. I really appreciate you guys very much. Feel free to hit that like and subscribe button on my channel. The dude abides.